was elected to Congress in 1846. Abraham Lincoln was elected to Congress in 1846. John Kennedy was elected to Congress in 1946. 100 years exactly. Abe Lincoln was elected president in 1860. John Kennedy was elected president in 1960. The names Lincoln and Kennedy both contain 7 letters. Both were particularly concerned with civil rights. Both wives lost children while living in the White House. Both presidents were shot on a Friday. Both presidents were shot in the head. Lincoln's secretary was named Miss Kennedy. Kennedy's secretary was named Miss Lincoln. Both were assassinated by Southerners. Both were succeeded by Southerners. Both Southerners were named Johnson. Andrew Johnson succeeded Lincoln, was born in 1808. Lyndon Johnson succeeded Kennedy, born in 1908. John Wilkes Booth, who assassinated Lincoln, born 1839. Lee Harvey Oswald, who assassinated Kennedy, born 1939. Both assassins were known by 3 names: John Wilkes Booth, Lee Harvey Oswald. Both names are comprised of 15 letters. Lincoln was shot at a theater named Ford. Kennedy was shot in a car made by Ford called Lincoln. John Wilkes Booth ran from the theater and was caught in a warehouse. Oswald ran from a warehouse and was caught in the theater. I like this one. A week before Lincoln was shot, he was in Monroe, Maryland, and a week before Kennedy was shot, he was in Maryland, Monroe. Oh, I get back to this postal thing. You know that when you walk in a post office, you no longer have a postal worker. If your mail comes back to you, it says it's coming back and you should go to the Postal Service to see a retail clerk at the Postal Service. That's why they no longer have FBI pictures in the post office, and you can buy bubble gum and all kinds of toys in there, because it's now owned by someone that is not a citizen in this country. And consequently, I think probably the most extraordinary thing, well, this is a quotation from John Swington, and I'll have photocopies of this, and you can get a whole set if you wish. John Swington, the former chief of staff of the New York Times, was referred to while living as the dean of his profession. In 1953, he gave a toast before the New York Press Club in New York City, and he said this: "There is no such thing at this date of the world's history in America as an independent press. You know it and I know it. There's not one of you who dares to write your honest opinion. If you did, you know beforehand that it would never appear in print. I am paid weekly to keep my honest opinions out of the paper I am connected with. Others of you are paid similar salaries for similar things, and any of you would be foolish as to write an honest opinion that would be out on the streets, because you'd be out on the streets looking for a new job." And he goes on to say, "We're nothing more than jumping jacks. While our masters pull the strings, we dance." Consequently, our press, the media, is of course owned and controlled by money. In the ancient system of the Druids, thousands of years ago, even 1,000 years before the Roman Empire in northern Europe, there was a whole system of religion and government called the Druidic system. That system exists today, right now, in this country and in the Western world. All over what we would call the Western world is a Druidic system. And if you understand the Druids and their symbols and their words and terms and their symbols in government and religion, then you will see Druidism everywhere. One of the most important symbols in the Druid religion was the magic wand, like Merlin the magician with his magic wands, and Mickey Mouse with his magic wand. Magic wands, the reference works say, were always made out of holly wood. Consequently, the holly tree is very important to the ancient Celtic Druidic system of religion. Hollywood is very important to this whole process of the manipulation of the minds of people in the Western world. I have little to no respect for Hollywood or anybody working in it. I'm very close to it. I live around it. I know many people in it, but I know what it's doing. A most important subject, well, I said words. And before I hit that, let's go to the word public in a law dictionary. The word public is the populace, the community, that vast multitude which includes the ignorant, the unthinking, the credulous, who in making a purchase do not stop to analyze but are governed by appearances and general impressions. That's the public as far as the law is concerned. Now let me at this point, well, here's one more. This is a doozy. In a law book, if you call yourself a human being, go to a law book and look up the word human being, and it will tell you, see monster. Right? So then you turn over to monster, and there it is. A lawful dictionary, a law dictionary's definition of a monster is a human being by birth, but in some part resembling a lower animal. A monster has no inheritable blood and cannot be heir to any land. Consequently, we as human beings we're not men and women. We're considered human beings. And the word human being goes back to the Crusades. When the knights were traveling across Europe on their way to Jerusalem, they were fathering a lot of illegitimate children. And of course, the offspring of a knight would inherit the father's fortune. And the church was not allowed and was not going to allow that. So they designated all the babies coming from the knights to be acting like they're being human. But they're not actually human. They're not actually a man or a woman. They're like being human. So consequently, we today are like that. We're just acting like we're human. And consequently, the law reflects that. Now, here's the basis for what is going on here. Cecil Rhodes, British statesman and empire builder, in his last will, it says in the reference work in People's Almanac says, in the first 5 wills, Cecil Rhodes repeatedly called for a, quote, secret society, the true aim and object whereof shall be the extension of the British rule throughout the world and eventually the ultimate recovery of the United States of America. So there's a secret society operating around the world that has as its true aim and objective the destruction of the freedom of our country. And these people are British royalty, not the English people. The English people are a beautiful people, have a very beautiful history. The country, and even the UK, all 3 of the countries are beautiful countries with beautiful people. But the British royalty, in my humble opinion, are the most evil operation on the face of the earth. I believe they're behind the drug trafficking, mafia, bloodletting, and when David Icke talks about the possibility that there might be reptilian influence there, I'm going to give you my opinion on that based on my own personal research. I think he's totally right on this. I think there's a very good case can be made for the existence of reptilians. And I totally agree that the reptilian influence on this earth is frightening in its implications. And I believe this not because David Icke's reasons. I have my own reasons that I arrived at the same place a long time ago also.